I'm Melissa and welcome to Oh My Word, Melly. So I am here today with my February reading wrap up to talk to you all about all the books that I read during February and whether I loved them, whether I hated them, and to hear my thoughts on these books as well. So without further ado, let's see which books I read during February. Like I said, February was an amazing reading month for me. Like, I still did not read as much as I wanted to, but I am not complaining because the books that I read, I absolutely enjoyed. And I started off the month by reading Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, which is the third and final book of the Last Hours trilogy. The series is set after the Infernal Devices, following Will, Jem, Tessa, and also Will's and Tessa's children, and Gideon, Sophie's children, all that. And if you still haven't watched my extensive review on Chain of Gold as well as Chain of Iron, you can click on the link up here to hear my thoughts on those books. It's like more of a summary and my rants and what I liked and disliked about them. Anyhoo, talking about Chain of Thorns, well, this might be a very unpopular opinion. It is for me as well, because I absolutely love Cassandra Clare books and the Shadowhunter universe. Yes, this book too had multiple POVs and that found family trope, as well as we get to go through the journey of each character, or witness the journey of each individual character, get to see how their character develops, the growth of their character, and also every aspect that we could cover in the universe and not just focus only on main characters. So I absolutely love that. And also how do I say this, I loved witnessing how Lucy, Anna, Thomas, Alistair, Christopher, all of them, right? Not just James and Cordelia, but you witnessed everyone's growth. And then who is that woman? Grace Blackthorn. You just see the character development. It's impressive. The character development was impressive, but I think that's the most that I liked about the book. I still gave this a 4-star, don't get me wrong. It was beautifully written and the world building was amazing, but I thought the book was just dragging the same point, and the excitement or that peak came in the last 30% of the book, which I did not enjoy. The book started off again with the miscommunication trope. Bro, just go talk to each other and everything will be more easier than this, is where I was at. And it just kept dragging, where James and Cordelia are not exactly telling what they feel or communicating. I do not like the miscommunication trope. I just can't enjoy it in any book, and I just thought this was just dragging around and revolving around the miscommunication trope. Compared to Chain of Gold and Chain of Thorns, the emotional aspect of the book or the emotional binding of the book, I thought it lacked in Chain of Thorns. I did not feel much of the emotions even with the characters, but I have to say one scene that really got to me, that really got me emotional, but compared to the other books, the emotional aspect was lacking. But this is a teensy-weensy spoiler, and that's, guys, if y'all still haven't read Chain of Thorn, brace yourself when y'all are going to read it, because you won't even believe this particular scene. It broke my heart and I did not see it coming. I just can't believe should I say this? She killed a character. I won't say who, but anyone but that character is what I have to say. But I would always recommend it. Without a doubt, definitely read the Infernal Devices as well as the Last Hours trilogy. So the second book I read in February is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, which is the first book of one of her new series called A Wine Mess series. Or I think it's a duology. I don't know not sure about that, but I know book 2 is coming out later this year, which I'm so excited, and it's going to follow the male main character's sister and another character she meets along in this Secret Leo's story as well. So I'm excited to read that, or I'm excited for its release. Can't wait for it. Anywho, enough said about that book. Let's talk about Secret Leos, which I read in February and I absolutely loved. Starting off, I'm going to tell you all I gave it a 5-star. It's a Tessa Bailey book. I couldn't find anything wrong in it, guys. Like, I just devoured it. It follows this slow burn trope, but still it was a fast-paced book, which absolutely was best of both worlds to me, because I normally don't like slow burn when it's actually dragging in the book. So it follows like Haley and Julian, who like had studied together when they were small, and like Haley has always had this childhood crush on Julian, but Julian was this popular senior who everyone was in love with and did not know she existed. But they had one encounter sometime back when they were small, but Julian does not recall that and Haley does, and she's like torn because he can't remember her. And anywho, it follows this grumpy sunshine vibe, and Haley is like a landscape artist, a gardener, who ends up having to, I don't know, plant flowers and decorate Julian's like house garden. And then they meet, and it's like instant attraction, like opposites attract, because Haley is this bubbly, sunshiny, extrovert kind of character, and who Julian is like a professor who is like, how do I say, introverted and likes to keep to himself, is very process oriented because he has an anxiety disorder. So he's like to the T, not totally opposite of Haley, who just can't stick to a plan. So he just gets irritated, but that irritation turns into an attraction where he just forgoes all his process oriented nature, like all his processes and steps and everything, and just goes with the flow with Haley, which was absolutely so cute. And also now, because Haley just wants to express herself, she just starts writing secret admirer letters to Julian, and he's like, who the heck is this? And he feels really bad because he's writing back to someone else while he's secretly pining for Haley. And like there is a bit of I don't know, I can't say miscommunication, but because there are so many scenes and like angsty scenes where he expresses his feelings but just doesn't nail it and say like, let's go out. And I just love books with this small town setting, and like this is also set in a winery that Julian and his family own. So he's back from lecturing or like being a professor, obviously. He's back home to write a book, and that's when all this happens, and it's like a self-discovery for him as well, to tackle all his demons and his anxiety, and like the way they fall in love, the spice. Oh my word, I just devoured it. So it's like more of a second chance romance. And the best thing is this book is in dual POV, so you get both Haley's and Julian's perspectives, which was just I just love it. Love it. I definitely recommend this book and any other Tessa Bailey books. If y'all still haven't read it, like y'all should. Secretly Yours will be a book that lives in my mind rent free. So guys, I finally read an Ali Hazelwood book, or 3. So the next reads of February for me were the feminist novellas by Ali Hazelwood, which is Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. I loved it. Oh my god, why hadn't I read Ali Hazelwood's books before? Just, I don't know, it just I'm regretting it so much. So the STEMinist novellas follow three friends who meet in grad school who are like scientists, and this has a wonderful representation of women in STEM. So for those who don't know what STEM is, women who are in the profession of science, technology, engineering, as well as maths. I love women in STEM representation because I can relate to it. Each book is a single POV from the woman's end or from the girl's end, so wasn't that much of a fan because I kind of like dual to multiple POVs because it just gives me that overall story or that completed feeling. Nevertheless, I enjoyed it, I have to say that. So let's start off with Under One Roof. I gave this a 4-star rating because I did actually enjoy it, the storyline and the plot. So it follows Mara, who is an environmental engineer, and Liam, who is a lawyer, and they are set up by this dead aunt. So Liam's dead aunt, and so this dead aunt was Mara's, I think, PhD professor or supervisor kind of. So they are set up by this dead aunt through a will that she left, where she actually gives Mara a house to live in closer to where she's about to work. The side point of that is that Mara doesn't own the house alone. Helena, or this dead aunt, left the house to Liam. And so this has forced proximity where they are made to live together, and Liam hates that. And guess what? Liam is like Mara's total opposite or nemesis. Like I said, Mara is an environmental engineer, and Liam is a lawyer for this big ass oil corporation which stands against everything like Mara believes in as an environmental engineer. So that itself is like bad first impression. And then Liam is so against that he has to share this house he has always lived in with some random woman. And then it's like strangers to, I don't know, how do I put this, like strangers to enemies to lovers, and the angst. I just absolutely love this. And I also liked how this book started. It starts with just like a teaser prologue kind of thing of the present, of a very angsty moment, and then the book flows like a month before or like weeks before this point, like that. Each chapter is like 1 month before, 2 weeks before, etc, 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 and leading to that moment, which I loved. Oh my god, like I just wanted to know, like it was just so fast paced. I was just reading it so much to know how did they end up in this present point where the book started from. So devoured it. The next novella of the STEMinist novella series, or whatever you are going to call it, is Stuck With You. This was the least favorite out of the 3 books. This follows Sadie and Eric, and it has a crossover between the past and present. So it like starts with the present, then the past, again the present. So it keeps jumping back and forth, which in this case I didn't kind of like it because I thought I just wanted to know how did y'all get into the present like the first book. So that was a little bit iffy to me. Like I was not it. I just I wanted it to like, come on, tell me how did they end up here? Why are they enemies? Kind of thing. Sadie bumps into Eric at a coffee shop on a day she has this very important project proposal, a client meeting which she needs to nail. And also Sadie is this superstitious person who believes that if she eats one of the most yuckiest croissants in this particular small hole in the wall coffee shop, she would land the client or the project. So she goes into this coffee shop one morning or the day of her presentation to buy croissants, just to find out that some man just bought the last croissant, and she just goes ballistics. And this particular man, who ends up to be Eric, who witnesses her losing her head over this, just comes and gives her the croissant and be like, you can have it, and he just walks off. And she's just so swooned by it, she runs after him, and they finally have this instant attraction where they end up talking, getting to know each other just as if they have always known each other, kind of like where they just sit on a bench, She's getting late for her presentation, but they still keep talking, getting to know each other. The conversation is so easy flowing that they have some attraction, and he asks her out for dinner and go back to his place and yada yada yada, you know where this leads. But the next day everything starts crashing by and now they are enemies. So it starts off where Sadie and Eric are stuck in a New York elevator during a power outage. Both of them are civil engineers. Their companies are in the same building, and therefore that's how they got stuck in the same lift. And like Sadie is so angry with him, like he's the last person she wanted to be stuck with on this earth, kind of thing. Eric is trying to understand why she's angry with him, and he has come up with so many reasons he thinks that went wrong on their date, and he thinks it's one of those, but to say it's a totally other reason, which I'll have to read to find out. I'm not going to be that spoilery in my mini reviews. So because they are stuck in the elevator, it's like they have to talk, and to say everything that led to this moment was simply miscommunication. Just talk, people. Miscommunication, then forced proximity because they're stuck, but still second chance romance, and also strangers to friends to enemies to lovers. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I like, see, there were so many things that I didn't like, and hence why I gave it only a 3-star, and why it's the least favorite out of the trilogy. But compared to others, I just couldn't love this book. I liked it. I know this is like one of the another unpopular opinion, because when I checked the other reviews of what people have told, this book is actually the book that everyone loved from the 3 novellas. So I don't get it, just not for me, I guess. Y'all should check this out as well. The last novella of this trilogy of novellas, I guess, is Below Zero. And guys, this is my most favorite book of all the 3 novellas. It follows Hannah and Ian, who are NASA engineers. Oh my god. And this book also had a crossover between the past and the present, and I actually enjoyed it because it was so informational, not like Stuck With You, where it just dragged and didn't get to the point of where it started off with, so which I didn't like actually. But in this case, I just absolutely loved the crossover. I felt like I am getting all the details that I wanted, and I absolutely loved it. And this novel out of the 3 was so full of STEM aspects. Like they talk more of Hannah's engineering work, like they get into details of the work, which sounds geeky, but I love geeky. So I absolutely love reading about the Mars rovers, about Mars, about NASA related aspects, about aerospace engineering. Absolutely loved it. I loved the scene where they had to like decode or like go through the code and debug the codes. That is something I do on a daily basis, so I absolutely love seeing it on a book. So this has a reverse Grumpy Sunshine trope, because Hannah is more of a grump whereas Ian is such a closed off but a sunshine, if you like a softie if you get to know him. They end up meeting each other because Hannah during grad school has to do this particular interview with someone in the field she's interested in, and Mara sets her up with Ian for the interview. Not sets her up, because Mara and Ian are like distantly related, like Ian is Mara's cousin or something is how they describe, because they like that family has a falling out, but because he's in NASA and she knows Hannah wants to go to NASA, she gets this interview for her, and that leads to like a one night stand kind of thing, but only from Hannah's side, because Ian is like, no, we need to date and this is not a one time thing for me. But Hannah is a commitment phobic main character, so she's scared of commitment and she's like, no, I'm not ready for commitments, I don't date, I don't do dinners, and she walks off. And then they meet 5 years later when Hannah gets into NASA, and everything goes on from there. I love the tension, the angst, and like there comes this point where Hannah thinks Ian betrayed her or didn't value her work, because like, you know, in STEM or in this industry, people think women are not as talented or geniuses like them. So she thought it was a similar situation for her, and she felt really hurt by that. She thought he's her friend and they were getting off good again from where everything left off 5 years ago. But Anyhoo, they end up going to the North Pole, to Norway, for different expeditions, different tests on the project that Hannah is working on, and Ian is the boss of everyone, kind of thing. And then there is this situation, or the book actually starts off in this scene where Hannah is stuck in a, I don't know, in the middle of Norway, in the middle of North Pole, in a crevice kind of thing. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Basically, like a snow hole or kind of thing where she can't get herself out. So it has this damsel in distress kind of thing. And Ian is like, let me rescue you in the middle of North Pole, even if you don't want to see me, even if I'm the last person you want to see on this earth, I am still going to rescue you, because I still have a major crush on you, or like I'm still pining you for the last 5 years and I can't stop forgetting you, like kind of thing. Oh my god. I know I'm not doing justice by explaining how much I enjoy this book, but guys, I read it. Like, you, all I can say is read it and you will find out. This book, out of the three, also had a bi representation because Hannah was on the spectrum. So finally the entire book is like strangers, then friends, then I don't know, they become co-workers, and then enemies to lovers. So many tropes. And so this is also like a workplace romance kind of thing. I just love it. Mainly all the Mars rover, Curiosity, Serendipity project references, which I totally love. I'm such a geek, and this book was just exactly geeky enough for me that I absolutely love this. And also like Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, which is the single book where they combined all these three novellas together, including a bonus chapter with the guy's perspective. So there is like small, like mini chapters, or three mini chapters from the three guys' perspective. So like from Liam's, Eric's, and Ian's perspective, which I love. Like just talking about one scene or two which were not in the girls book, but like after they fell in love, and like Mara after getting married, like or Sadie and Eric had got married, and then Hannah and Ian are talking about marriage. So like this is all past the time of the three novellas. Guys, I will definitely read all Ali Hazelwood books. I loved her writing right throughout all the novellas. If you all are still intimidated by starting like to start Love Hypothesis because of its trending or hype, start with the novellas like I did, and then y'all can make a decision for yourself. So those were the books I read in February. So it's like a total of 6 books, more like 3 novels and 3 novellas that I absolutely enjoy. Anywho, if you all enjoyed this video and want to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as well as click on the little bell icon so I'll get notified every time I post new videos. I just started March with an ARC that I received from an author. More updates on my socials, so don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, TikTok, and wherever, even Twitter. Guys, so because I keep giving small reading updates always on Instagram and especially on Goodreads, so don't forget to follow me on all my socials and keep in touch and motivate me to do more videos. And with that, it's time for me to wrap up this video. So if you enjoyed this video, also do give it a thumbs up and share with friends and family. And it's time for me to say bye from Oh My Word, Melly.